promised to wear a tie to the gala ball. I feel a little left out up here. I'm Australian, so you have to change the translators out there just in case you hadn't noticed. So yeah, so Nokia Siemens Networks, we're very much around mobile broadband. So you heard James talk about having the fibre there in the networks to deal with the backhaul. Our challenge is actually how do we create the bandwidth in the radio environment. And so globally, we're seeing the same things. I mean, data is more than doubling every year, more than doubling. In some markets, it's going 10 times in some of the emerging markets. That data is turning more to video. So then the user experience is really changing. It's no longer about just doing your email. I mean, if you're downloading 50% of your data as video, you don't want that little circle going around ticking away, waiting for it to buffer, right? We don't like buffering. So, because we expect everything now, we expect it immediately, we expect it anywhere, at any time. And so the challenge for us in our industry and for companies like our customers like AT&T is how do you provide that user experience out there? How do we build these networks quickly enough to meet the demand? And when you look at it, I mean, you talked about leading indicators. One of the challenges for our industry is that bandwidth is booming. The demand is doubling every year, but revenue's certainly not doubling every year.
Right? You got ASPs that are coming down. The competitive landscape, the demands that the carriers have on trying to provide that newer technology at a much lower price has got to be a lot of pressure on companies like yours.
It does, and so one of the ways that, and it does, and we have to drive efficiencies, and a lot of our technology innovation is really around efficiency. How much more data can we push down a smaller pipe? Then you have regulatory issues around spectrum. You need more spectrum here in the US as an example. You simply don't have enough allocated yet. So there's some of the broad things, but then from how do we create more value in that environment, it really comes down to things like our customer experience on demand programs, because what we want to do is allow the operators to create new revenue streams. So you have to be able to differentiate your data and the user experience, and if you can do that, you can actually increase your price or provide premium type services, and we're seeing this work in a number of markets. When we survey end users out there, 58% of them identify network quality as a key differentiator for that, the reason they stay in the network. But what we also see is those high value individual users, the ones that generate the most output, are the ones most likely to churn off their networks. So by using things like customer experience, we actually centralize all the information from your network in one single place. And that's the first part of it. And then we have innovative software technology that goes in there, and we can actually identify down to the individual user what their experience is like. Are they getting dropped calls? Is their throughput up to what they expect? If they're sitting in Starbucks doing an e-reward survey, what's the user experience they get? And then what you can also do is you can also be proactive then. So if you're seeing certain segments of the market churning off your network, we can actually go and profile those users and actually go proactively and offer them rewards programs. And maybe AT&T offers them some more free minutes of talk time, or free text, or free video downloads. And what we're seeing in some markets, up to 25% increase in retention of the customers. So you can create a lot of value through actually really creating insight. And there's so much data out there. We're inundated by data every day. Just in one of our networks in Asia, we collect over 300 billion data points from that network every day. But if you don't have insight and intelligence out of that information, it's really pretty much useless. So customer experience for us really is about creating that insight and then having actions to do something with that insight to create value for the end user, which creates value for the service.
And can all these different factions talk to each other? There was it seems like disruptive technologies would come along, and they would always disrupt because they would take people off to a different area. It seems to me like you guys are layering on existing technology. I think it's, in old when there was Vega, there was VHS, and that was, there was LTE, there was 4G, and it seems like there's a certain universality, not just within the U.S. but around the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite clear now that all the radio technology we've had in the past, whether it's 2G, 3G, CDMA, they're all going to LTE. So long-term evolution, that's the common standard going forward. Interesting, I think North America here is actually the leader in going to LTE, and that's been quite interesting to see that I'd say the US has actually leapt from the industry, and I think to be blunt, that's unusual.
Will we lead the rest of the world?
Yes, it is. An anecdote, I'm not sure at the time, but I worked here in the US 16 years ago, and I remember going to the CTA show, and there was a bunch of people lined up, and I thought, well, that must be a really interesting stand. They're actually lining up for the payphone because you had to pay if you received a call, so they have their beepers on. The rest of the world was using mobile-to-mobile call, but you guys were still using payphones. So it's good to see you've caught up and passed. largely, I mean, US, I think today, if I look at AT&T and Verizon, they're two of the world leaders in LTE technology deployments. I'm guessing somewhere in the range of 16, 17 million customers already use LTE technology today. Korea is around 8 million, and Japan is catching up. So definitely ahead of the curve.
So your corporate innovation finalists, thank you very much.
Thank you.